Hello there everyone and welcome back to another tier list wrestling video. You know it's time for Money in the Bank. It's right around the corner. It's going to be in London. It's going to be a good show. Probably, hopefully, I don't know. So to get ready for Money in the Bank this year, I'm going to do a tier list of all the Money in the Bank winners. We got tiers money, which means, top of the line, very good. Then we have good, fine. Then we go bad, and then broke, which broke is like, why? Why were you holding that briefcase? Get it out of their hands right now. But you know the deal. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that nonsense. And let's get right to it. We're starting off with the first ever Mr. Money in the Bank. We have Edge. Edge held it for a long time. He was the first ever Mr. Money in the Bank. His cash-in is fantastic. Nothing really bad to say about it. I wasn't watching wrestling at that time, so I don't know how everybody was feeling at the current moment. But looking back, very solid run with the briefcase. I'm going to put him in money. I can't recall anything bad that happened while he was holding the briefcase. So, good on Edge. Good on Edge for holding that and cashing in on John Cena. And now we have Rob Van Dam, another good choice to be Mr. Money in the Bank. WrestleMania 22 ladder match. I believe it's the shortest Money in the Bank ladder match ever. I'm not sure, but either way, Rob Van Dam, I like the guy. I wouldn't say he's in the same league as Edge when it comes to being Mr. Money in the Bank. I'm going to put him in good because he was the first person, he was the second ever Money in the Bank holder, but he was the first person to issue the challenge, face to face, not cash in last moment or anything. He went to John Cena and said, hey, I'm cashing this in on you. Let's have a match. ECW, one night stand. And what a silly little crowd that was. Remember that? So overall, pretty good. Nothing crazy. I might just put him in fine, but I think it's Rob Van Dam, so I think he should go in good. And now we have Mr. Kennedy. All right, well, he didn't actually get to cash in the briefcase. The match he was in was fun. It was a fun little WrestleMania 23 ladder match. Good choice to win, but then the whole thing where he had an injury, so they gave it to Edge, but injury wasn't that severe, so he probably could have kept it, but poor Mr. Kennedy. Nothing really went his way. But he was a good choice to win the briefcase. After that, oh, poor guy. But, he was a good choice to win. So I'm going to put him in fine. If we're really looking at, overall, I'd probably put him in bad. But he was, the right guy to win that match, in my opinion. I wasn't watching wrestling back then, but, watching that match and, seeing the future star he could have become, I think Mr. Kennedy winning that briefcase was a good call. It just sucks that, what happened afterwards happened. And now we have CM Punk, Mr. 2 times in a row, back-to-back. We got his 2008 little Money in the Bank ladder match victory. And, good call. I'm a big CM Punk guy, so of course I'm going to think that. But it was cool to see him win it. He cashed in on Edge, but then the whole Randy Orton kicked him in the head and he was injured and he had to, vacate the title, or whatever. That was just kind of stupid. So it's kind of in the same boat as Mr. Kennedy, where it was a good choice to win the match. Just everything that happened afterward was just kind of a bummer, and, what are you going to do about it? But now, 2009 CM Punk was a different breed. He won that briefcase again, cashed in on Jeff Hardy this time, kicked off an amazing summer feud with Jeff Hardy, one of my favorite feuds ever. If you saw my Night of Champions ranking main event video thing, I love that feud. I'm tempted to put CM Punk up here in money because him winning it, then everything that kicked off after he cashed in on Hardy was really good stuff. I don't think it was really at that level of Edge winning the first ever briefcase, but CM Punk, top of the good category. Plus, I feel like WrestleMania 25's ladder match is one of the more memorable ones. I don't know why it stands out to me so much, but, good on Punk for winning it for the second time. And now we have Jack Swagger, and oh boy, I can see why they wanted him to win, push that bright future star. He's yeah, I don't know, man. But it just didn't really pan out the way they wanted it to, I think it's safe to say. I'm going to put him in bad. The match itself just had way too many guys in it. I think there's 8 or 10 people in there? It felt like a lot. He cashed in on Jericho, if I remember correctly, and then, he only defended it a couple times. He went on to have a not-so-good World Heavyweight title run, and it just, I don't know, man. It's not it. Whatever they were trying to go for, it was not it. And to kick off the first ever Money in the Bank pay-per-view, we had Kane winning the blue Money in the Bank briefcase, going for that World Heavyweight Championship, which he did, that same night. I think still the quickest cash-in after winning it, so props to Kane. Somewhat of a weird choice to win this match. I mean, he's a big dominant dude. I don't know why a big dominant dude would need to go for a briefcase, but it is an accolade to add to his, his wrestling resume, if you will. His world title run, good on him for getting a world title run after only having the WWE title for a day back in 98, 99, whenever. The cash in on Rey Mysterio that night was pretty impressive. I think he's going to hang around the fine tier. He definitely wasn't bad. So I think I'll put him a smidge above, I'll put him above Kennedy and Punk, because at least, you know, what happened afterward, he won the title and he carried it for a bit. So good job, I guess. Now we have The Miz winning the WWE Money in the Bank briefcase, and he cashed in on Randy Orton later that year. And you know what? Miz with the briefcase, pretty cool indeed. People weren't a fan of him being WWE champion, especially, you know, it led up to that WrestleMania 27 main event with Cena, which, you know, wasn't his fault. Miz is just like kind of the ideal guy you want to hold the Money in the Bank briefcase. He's a sneaky, slimy little heel. He has great mic skills. When I think of a Money in the Bank winner, I want them to be someone like The Miz. A very solid Money in the Bank briefcase holder. I'm going to put The Miz in the bottom of the good tier for mainly just the reason I just said, where he's like the picture-perfect Money in the Bank holder in my opinion. So he's going bottom of good. He had a solid little run with the briefcase. He beat Orton. Had a decent title reign. I mean, sure, probably the matches and like things weren't great, but I thought it was solid. I'm a fan of The Miz, so he's going in bottom of good. Bryan Danielson, or back then Daniel Bryan, the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank briefcase holder. He cashed in on Big Show after that little match with Mark Henry at TLC. Had a short, nice little run with it, but then lost the world title in 18 seconds to Sheamus, but we don't have to talk about that. Just like The Miz, he's kind of like the ideal Money in the Bank holder, someone who you don't think could win the world title, at the time at least, but they win Money in the Bank, and the suspense builds and builds as like, oh, they could win the world title, holy crap. And that's just what Daniel Bryan did. So I will put Daniel Bryan top of fine, maybe bottom of good. You know what, I'm gonna put Daniel Bryan in the good tier, because I kind of think him winning that Money in the Bank briefcase and then winning the world title really like boosted him to that upper level. Like, we knew he was good, but him having those huge accomplishments really like pushed him up more, if that makes sense. So yeah, Daniel Bryan going in the bottom of good. I could put him above The Miz, and hell, maybe even above RVD. I think it's just nostalgia for why I like RVD holding the briefcase. I'm gonna put Bryan above Miz, actually. I think it did more for Bryan in the long run than The Miz, even though both guys winning the briefcase really had good long-lasting effects on their careers. But I'm just going to put Daniel Bryan a smidge above The Miz. Both are on the same level in my opinion, though. Now we have Del Rio, and I'm not a fan of this guy, never was, even after all the, hey, he's kind of a bad dude, you know, allegations or whatever came out. So I never liked the guy. He was just kind of mid to me. I know why they gave him the briefcase. They wanted to push him. They were giving him everything in 2011. Royal Rumble win. Match against Edge at WrestleMania, even though he lost. The ladder match he won this in was kind of, like, at least for me, kind of forgettable. I don't know what it is. I just, I think I might have, like, watched it once and I've never gone back and watched it. But that's just a me thing. Maybe you love the match. I don't care. Do what you want. Him winning the briefcase doesn't have much of an impact except for him beating Punk, and then, I don't know, he never got really boosted that high. Like, I think the World Heavyweight title run he had in like 2013 did more for him than this WWE title win. I'm going to put him in top of bad. I think it worked out better for him than Jack Swagger. Maybe bottom of fine. You could definitely make a case for him. Ha, get it? Case, Money in the Bank briefcase. But yeah, Del Rio going in the bad tier. Just my opinion though. And going from bad to super duper good right away, we're putting Dolph Ziggler in the money tier. That cash in, holy hell, that crowd went nuts. Even the ladder match itself was fun. Another example of this Money in the Bank briefcase win doing wonders for Dolph Ziggler. Him holding that briefcase really made him feel like, you know, one of the more top stars in the company. He main evented TLC against John Cena that year. So, you know, good on you, Dolph. Good on you. And then, like I mentioned, that cash-in was fantastic. It sucks that the world title, like, reign of his lasted whatever, a couple months or whatever. I think, you know, the concussion really threw things off. Then he lost to Del Rio. Hasn't really gained any momentum since then, like main event level. Like, he had that good Intercontinental title feud with Rollins, but other than that, man, main roster Dolph has not been going well. It's always been like, ooh, he's reaching the mountaintop and then falling a little short. But the win itself and the cash-in, good enough to put him in money just because the cash-in is so good. If the cash-in wasn't that great, he would probably chill around the good tier. But amazing cash-in. I like the ladder match itself. At the time, it looked like it really was going to push him to be a top main eventer. But yeah, I'm putting Ziggler in money. Plus, he held the briefcase for a long time. And I always like it when they hold it for a long time. It builds up suspense. It's like, okay, dude, you're coming up on a year. You're going to have to get rid of it soon. So I think Ziggler's Money in the Bank briefcase run was very good. And now we have John Cena, another RVD instance where he went to CM Punk and he was like, hey, I'm challenging you for this date. Let's go. Let's freaking party. And then that's when Big Show caused the main event of Raw. I think it was like Raw 1000. caused it to be a DQ. Just kind of like a flat end to Cena's Money in the Bank cash-in. He didn't really need the briefcase too, if we're being honest. I mean, it's John Cena. He could have just called out CM Punk and said, hey, I want a match, 1,000 episode of Raw, let's go. Plus, the ladder match was like weird. There was only like 5 people in it. I think it was like Miz, Jericho, Big Show, Cena, and somebody else. I think Kane maybe? I don't know. But yeah, John Cena's Money in the Bank win. It just, I don't know. Just that Big Show causing a DQ. Him not really needing it. It's just, I mean, it wasn't bad. I'll put him very bottom of fine. And now we have Damien Sandow, the man with the most beautiful briefcase, so fancy. Damien Sandow, I did not think would win the match at the time watching it. I honestly thought they were going to give it to Cody Rhodes or hell, even Dean Ambrose. But him winning the briefcase was a solid choice. He had that little feud with Cody Rhodes, and then when he was actually going to cash in on Cena, John Cena did John Cena things and won. John Cena beat Damien Sandow, and that was it for Sandow. He just fell all the way to the bottom after that failed Money in the Bank cash-in. The year before, Cena was the first person to lose when he cashed in Money in the Bank. The next year after, Sandow lost, so it just wasn't a good look. I do think Sandow winning it and also, changing the briefcase's look, it was very nice for the time being, but oh damn, that broke him, honestly, him losing to Cena. I'll put him a smidge above Cena. Punk can go above Kennedy, because Kennedy is just like, Sandow, where after they lost the briefcase, it was just kind of downhill. But poor Sandow, just thinking about it, poor guy. And now we have Randy Orton in 2013. He cashed in on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, and it kicked off the Daniel Bryan versus The Authority storyline, which, that ended up being really good for Daniel, because he won the main event, WrestleMania 30. So good on you, Randy, for kicking that off, I guess. The match he was in was, I believe, called the All-Star Money in the Bank ladder match. There was, RVD returning, Sheamus, Christian, Punk, Bryan, all those guys in that ladder match. It was a pretty good ladder match. Despite the fact that it kicked off the whole Bryan versus The Authority storyline, it was kind of like a basic Money in the Bank, reign, I guess. He won it. It was like, okay, cool, Randy won it, I guess. That's neat. Held it for a very short time, cashed in, was WWE champion, then kind of lost it to Bryan, then won it back, all that crap. So, it was kind of middle of the road. I'd say better than Cena, better than Sandow. I mean, wait, hold on. It worked out better than all these guys, so I'll probably put him above Kane. I'll keep him in fine, though. And now we have Seth Rollins, dude. Chef's kiss right there. We got the perfect choice to win Money in the Bank. He was set up beautifully for it, just turning heel on the Shield and joining the Authority. He had that great feud with Ambrose throughout the summer. He was the right person to win that ladder match. Great cash-in at WrestleMania 31. We all remember that. The heist of the century. Had a pretty solid reign with the WWE title, even though, injury made him have to relinquish it. But other than that, solid all the way through. The heel turn, the Money in the Bank win, had a nice long reign holding the briefcase, was a focal point of WWE throughout the whole time he had the briefcase and when he won the WWE title itself. Good stuff from Seth freaking Rollins. I'm going to put him above Ziggler. I mean, Edge is the first, but Edge, that Money in the Bank briefcase really kicked off his singles career. But Rollins, I think I'm going to have to put him just a smidge above Edge. Everything was just perfect for Rollins. The table was set for him to have a nice Money in the Bank level feast, and boy, did he capitalize on all that success. Look at him now. He's one of the top stars in WWE. He's a current World Heavyweight Champion. That Money in the Bank win really kicked off everything for the guy. So good for Seth Rollins. Him holding the briefcase was fun. The cash-in was even better. Just probably the perfect Money in the Bank reign. And now we have Sheamus, a little bit of a downgrade. No offense, Sheamus. I was a huge Sheamus fan. I'm not even joking. When Sheamus won that briefcase, I jumped out of my seat and laid on the floor, yelling and screaming in excitement. Sheamus was my boy back in the day. He still is. Banger after banger. But was he the right call to win that Money in the Bank briefcase? I don't know. I mean, I liked it. Hell. He held it for a good bit. He cashed in on Roman Reigns, which, at the time, anyone else but Reigns holding the title was a good thing. So I think the crowd were on Sheamus' side for that. For those few minutes. He held the title for 3 weeks, I think it was, and lost it to Roman Reigns, because, yeah, cool. So I think Sheamus' Money in the Bank win, in my opinion, it would go bottom of good, because I like Sheamus a lot. But if we're really looking at it, the 2015 ladder match wasn't that great, if I remember correctly. The cash-in was fun. That was mainly because of Roman Reigns, not really Sheamus. I mean, all the confetti still on the ground when he hit the bro kick, and Roman Reigns, holding his head oh, I can't believe I lost. That was a funny little moment, but just, the reign Sheamus had, a few weeks, not really that great. Better than bad. He's gonna go somewhere in fine. I think I'll put him around here. I don't think he was the best choice to win the briefcase like Punk, Kennedy, and Sandow, but he did have better luck cashing in than Sandow, and he did have better luck than Kennedy. Punk at least cashed in, but then that whole thing happened. So he's right around Punk, where it's like, all right, I'm a fan of them winning the briefcase, but everything that happened afterward was just, a little bit of a mess. And now we have Dean Ambrose, who cashed in later that night, and every member of the Shield held gold that night. Roman walked in as champion, Rollins won it from him, then Moxley. Then Ambrose cashed in on him. Pretty solid little night, pretty solid little, way to end the show. The ladder match was fun. It had guys like Jericho, Owens. They did that whole little thing before Money in the Bank where they were all sitting on ladders on like an episode of Raw or something. That was real fun. Money in the Bank ladder matches can usually be pretty chaotic, and Ambrose being the guy to win one is a pretty good fit. The cash-in was great. The reign afterwards wasn't that good. But other than the reign after the cash-in, everything was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I'll put them bottom of good. I think it worked out a little better for guys like Miz and Bryan, but Ambrose winning it was very solid. I think a little bit better than fine. Better than Orton and Kane and all that, so bottom of good goes Ambrose. And now we have Carmella. She fits in well with The Miz being a heel that I think had a great run with the briefcase. I think she was probably the right choice to win. They did have James Ellsworth win the match and hand her the briefcase, which was kind of a mess, so they had to like redo it a couple weeks later on SmackDown. So it was a bit of a mess, but other than that, she held it for a long time. I think she cashed in on Charlotte, I want to say. I think like the Iconics beat her down. So nice little cash in. The win might have been messy, but they fixed their wrongs. But because it was a bit of a mess at the beginning, I'm going to put her top of fine. Even though the reign itself with the briefcase and the cash in, I would maybe put her bottom of good, but just that first little win, ooh, that was quite the bump in the road, I would say. So top of fine she goes. Now we have Baron Corbin. I was a big Baron Corbin fan when he won this briefcase. I was proud of him. I was glad he won it. I think he was a good person to win the briefcase. And oh boy, dang man, how the lone wolf has fallen. Going from winning the Money in the Bank briefcase to losing the Jinder Mahal. When he cashed in, he had the advantage, but he lost. So really the win itself was fine. As everything else that happened afterward was, poor guy. I really don't want to put him in bad, but I actually no, he's not on the same level of Del Rio and Swagger, only because I'm a fan of Corbin. If I wasn't a fan, I would probably put him around here, but he had a really simple reign that ended in defeat. You know what, I'll put him above Cena only because Cena didn't need the briefcase. Corbin was still new to the main roster, so that briefcase really helped him, at least, give him an accolade where you'd be like, hey, remember Corbin? He's a former Mr. Money in the Bank. So I think that kind of boosts his stats, if that's like a way you want to like interpret it. But what a messy little briefcase win. And now we have Alexa Bliss, who cashed in that same night, which is a very, big trend for the women's division when it comes to Money in the Bank. They either cash in a couple days later or they cash in that night. I don't know why. Carmella was the only person that had patience and waited for her moment. But anyways, Alexa Bliss won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Solid choice for the winner. She cashed in on Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey's little match they were having, I think, which then led to Ronda Rousey beating Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. So I think it was a way to kind of put a boundary in front of Ronda Rousey to make it seem like she wasn't immediately going for that title after making her debut, which I guess was kind of smart in the long run. But yeah, it was a solid win for Bliss. Like I said, cashed in later that night, so I feel like Bliss would have been way better off holding that briefcase for like half a year or something. Maybe she could have cashed in on Ronda Rousey, but then again, we wouldn't have gotten that big triple threat at WrestleMania 35. Alexa Bliss, solid Miss Money in the Bank, so we're gonna put her above Cena, above Corbin, maybe above, yeah, because all these guys kind of fail. I'll put her a smidge above Sheamus, I guess. No, it worked out better for her than Punk too, because that, Orton kicking him in the head kind of thing. Probably not as good as Kane's same day cash in, but Bliss, still solid Miss Money in the Bank. So there you go, putting her in the fine tier. Now we have Strowman. I was not a fan of Strowman winning this briefcase. Like I said for, I think, Kane, big strong boy doesn't need a briefcase. Like, sure, it guarantees you a title opportunity, but when I think of the Money in the Bank ladder match, a heel wins it and he sneakily cashes in, or an underdog type character wins it and then gets like a big moment when they finally do it, like, OMG, I can't believe they did it. But Strowman, he was still pretty hot at the time. He kind of didn't need to win this thing. I mean, it boosted his momentum a little more, I guess, but I don't know. I wasn't a fan of him winning. He cashed in on Roman at Hell in a Cell. They had he announced it ahead of time. Then Brock Lesnar came in and ripped the door off and made it a non-finish inside Hell in a Cell, and why? Just why? His cash in was, the highlight of Strowman winning Money in the Bank was, I think, he tried to cash in on Brock and Roman at SummerSlam, and Brock just yeeted that briefcase towards the stage, if I remember correctly. That was pretty funny. I'm gonna put Strowman a smidge under Baron. Someone like Baron Corbin could have really used it. Strowman did not need it whatsoever. He's kind of on the same, base as Cena, where it's like, hey, it's Braun Strowman. He could have called out Roman, and they could have continued the I'm not finished with you stuff then. But poor Strowman. I think after that Hell in a Cell match with Roman Reigns was kind of the start of his falling off point, so I think bottom of the fine tier. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put Cena bottom of bad tier, only because at least these guys kind of needed it in a way, and they weren't top star level like Cena, where like the win really, didn't need to happen for him. This is a bit of a messy little tier list, but I think I'm shaping it up okay. And now we have 2019, we have Bayley won it, and then a couple hours later or whatever, cashed in on Charlotte, who was beating up poor Becky Lynch, and then won the title off of Charlotte. Pretty good moment. This was right before Bayley turned heel in 2019. Bayley was a good choice to win. Cash in on the same night was like, we saw it the year before, but good for you, Bayley. We love Bayley. So it was okay. I don't really have much to say about it. It's fine. I guess above Punk by a little bit. I think Bliss's cash in was better because she was like a heel. Bayley came out to save the day and then was like, oh, while I'm out here, might as well cash in. Bayley will go in the middle of the fine category. It is what it is. Okay, here we go. Brock Lesnar. He came in at the very end of the 2019 men's ladder match. It was a very fun match. He had the sunset flip from Andrade to Finn Balor. I think McIntyre yeeted Ricochet over the top rope and he crashed through a ladder. That might be a different match, but still, memories. But then Ali was climbing that ladder, and then Brock came out. Mustafa Ali decided to sit there for a bit and just kind of panic because big old monsters running towards him. And then Brock climbs the ladder and wins, and then turns the briefcase into a boombox, and dude, I get it was kind of silly having Brock with the briefcase, and it's Brock Lesnar. We should expect things like this, but oh god, this sucked. First Money in the Bank briefcase holder going in the broke tier. Did not want to see this. Shouldn't have happened. You made Mustafa Ali look like kind of a dummy, just kind of sitting there. But all those guys working their asses off in that match, doing huge moves just for Brock to come in. If it was more of a basic Money in the Bank ladder match with nothing crazy going on, just kind of middle of the road average match, then Brock Lesnar comes out, it'd be like, okay, yeah. But those guys were going through it in that match, man. That was a pretty good match too, which made the ending even more disappointing. So Brock Lesnar going in the broke tier. Why did he win it? And now we have 2020, the race of Titan Towers or whatever the hell it was, WWE headquarters, I don't know. The combined men and women's ladder match, we had Asuka win the women's side of things, and, the briefcase turned out to not really have a contract inside it, but the women's championship, because Becky Lynch was pregnant. Oh my god! Very nice little moment for them to have on Raw. I enjoyed it. She didn't really have a reign with the briefcase, because, it was the world title inside, but it was just a nice little moment, and it was a fun match, I guess. It was interesting, because, pandemic WWE just tried everything. So we'll put her, it wasn't, momentous or anything like that. It's really about the moment after when she receives the title and Becky Lynch announces she's pregnant. That's my favorite part of the whole thing, not even Asuka winning the briefcase, even though Asuka having the accolade is cool because I like Asuka. So it'll go around fine. Honestly, it was a feel-good moment after she won it, so I'll put her above Orton. But Carmella, probably currently the best women's Money in the Bank holder in my opinion. But yeah, feel-good moment. Asuka was a good choice to win the match anyway. So Asuka's going in the top of fine. And then, on the other side of the coin, we had the men's side of things, and Otis won because the briefcase slipped out of AJ and whoever else's hands, and oh god. I like Otis. I think he's a fun little dude, or big dude, I guess. But he did not need the Money in the Bank briefcase. No one was going to take it seriously if he cashed in on whoever was champion at the time. I think Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, nobody was going to believe that at all whatsoever. It was funny. Not really. Actually, no, it was a waste of a ladder match. So, putting Otis in broke. Waste of a ladder match. It just, poor Otis. I like the guy, but he should not have been put in that position. Now, Nikki ASH, I was there at 2021 Money in the Bank Live, first pay-per-view back in front of fans. Very fun show, very good show, actually. Nikki ASH winning the briefcase was kind of a shocker. There was, other people in that match that probably could have won it, but, it was, I guess, a feel-good moment for her. She honestly deserves it. I feel like Nikki Cross is pretty underrated, so having, Money in the Bank be one of her accolades is pretty cool, but I was not a fan of the Nikki ASH character, even though it kind of was a nice little moment for her to win the briefcase. I think they probably should have gone with someone else. So I won't put her in bad. She did hold it longer than a day. She, I think, waited a week or two, whatever, and she cashed in on Charlotte. So, pretty cool there. It's not bad by any means, but not great. I think I'm going to put her bottom of fine, under Sandow, no, probably under Corbin. Wasn't a bad Money in the Bank briefcase win. It just was a little unexpected, and probably they should have gone with someone else, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And now we have Big E. They had a lot of candidates to win that ladder match. Big E was probably the perfect one to win. Very feel-good moment. He cashed in later that year on Bobby Lashley, but we're not going to talk about what happened at day one, and, you know, poor Big E. But him winning that briefcase, such a great moment despite everything that happened afterwards. It was the first pay-per-view back with fans. Such a big moment for Big E. So I'm going to put Big E bottom of good. It's just everything that happened afterwards with Brock and whatnot just really sucks. But the win itself and the cash-in and him just being able to say he held the WWE title, really good stuff. I'll put him in the good tier. And now the last Money in the Bank event, Liv Morgan won. Cashed in later that night. Wow, that's a common trend. And she beat Ronda Rousey, which I'm not a fan of Ronda, so I'm glad that happened. And I'm glad Liv Morgan won the briefcase. And I'm glad she won the women's championship. But it's another case where it's a really good feel-good moment kind of thing. But just everything that happened afterward, Ronda Rousey and her had that match at SummerSlam. But then Ronda Rousey beat her later, and it cut Liv's title reign a little short. I think she only held it for like 2 months. Her only feud was just Ronda Rousey, and then lose title. It wasn't really the way to go about things. I think she should have maybe held the briefcase a little longer, but even if she did cash in that night against Ronda Rousey, she should have held the women's championship way longer, like at least 3 more months. Liv had like everybody behind her in 2022 and all that, so I don't know why they decided to do that. But it was a good Money in the Bank win. Was it better than Punk? Yeah. She kind of gets wedged in here with Bliss and Bayley and their, you know, not even a full day of holding the briefcase. I think it worked out better for Bayley. She was able to turn heel, have good stuff after that happened. So, yeah, I guess it was a feel-good moment. And I know I've said that a lot in this video, but it just sucks what happens after, like, a really momentous occasion where it's like, all right, all the momentum is on Liv. We're riding high. Oh, but by the way, Ronda Rousey's going to beat you in a couple months. Smile. And now we have Austin Theory, and the less said about that, the better. He just got inserted into the match out of nowhere. Let's get past all the him holding the briefcase. Dude, he cashed in on a mid-card title and lost. What are we doing? It's not very good. Bottom of bad. It wasn't the worst thing ever. I think he's a solid pick to win the briefcase, but dude, come on. But there you have it. There's a tier list. Here's a pretty good looking thing in my opinion. I probably could switch some people around, but let me know your thoughts. Who's your favorite Money in the Bank winner? And I will see you all later. Goodbye.